Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You could do a little better than that. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, we got a lot of people here, so I know you could be louder than that. So welcome to BTBJ. I'm Rabbi Roni, and I am joined up here by Maura Caroline, and we are so excited to have all of you with us tonight as we celebrate Shabbat, as we welcome Shabbat together, and as we celebrate as Gabby becomes Bat Mitzvah. So this is just the beginning of a whole weekend extravaganza, and we hope that it will also enable all of us to really settle in for the celebration that is to come. So I know that you all have traveled from near and far to be here today. We've had many things happen during this week. We'll have a chance to share some of that a little bit later. But now is our chance to really allow ourselves to take a deep breath and to begin to welcome Shabbat together. And so we do that in many, many ways. But first, we start by bringing a little more light into our lives and into our room. And so I'm going to invite Gabby and her brother and her parents to come on forward. And if you want to follow along, the blessing for candlelighting is on page 4. And we'll recite the blessing together and have a chance to kind of breathe this light into our hearts and into our Shabbat experience. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. So Gabby, I'm going to invite you to go over to the other side of the bima. You all can have a seat. Shabbat Shalom. And I invite everyone to turn to page 5 as Gabby leads us in the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem,
Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Teihem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you, Gabby. When we sing the words of Shalom Aleichem, we are saying that there are these angels that come in, that Boachem l'shalom, that come in as we welcome Shabbat, and that God willing, while they are with us, they can bless us. We can offer blessings in the world as well. And then as Shabbat goes out, we say farewell. Seichem l'shalom. We say farewell. And so I know you have lots of angels surrounding you in this moment. And so may you all be welcome all weekend long. May you find blessing in this celebration. And when the time comes to say farewell, may you have all of those wonderful memories to take with you. We continue on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh.
ידיד
נפש,
נפש,
אב הרחמן, משוך עבדך אל רצונך, ירוץ עבדך כמו אייל, ישתחווה מוהדרך, כי יערב לו ידידותך מנופת סוף וכל טעם, הדור נעזיב העולם, נפשי חולת אהבתך, אנא אל נא רפאנה לה, בהרות לה נועם סביבה, אז תתחזק ותתרפא, והייתה לך שפחת עולם. ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די די די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai dai dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai dai dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai. So we're moving through a section of our service known as Kabbalat Shabbat, which is sometimes how the entire evening service is referred to. But really, this section in particular is meant to allow us to get ready to receive Shabbat. Kabbalah means receiving. And so same as true of Kabbalah, like the study of mysticism. It's a whole other conversation, but that's the same word. But Kabbalat Shabbat is about receiving Shabbat. And so we need to get ready in lots of different ways to be able to do that. And so maybe you had busy days today. Maybe you had parts of your week that were really awesome that you want to hold on to as you move into Shabbat. And maybe there's other things that you're kind of happy to let go this week and just kind of leave behind as we prepare to move into this celebration and into this sacred space and time. And so as we prepare to move through this service, and in a moment we'll get ready to sing Psalm 96 on page 13, I wanted to ask all of you, as you think back on your week as a way to kind of allow ourselves to really settle in, if there are especially joyful moments that you have experienced that you want to make sure that you don't forget, that you want to make sure to take with you, that they find a place in your heart, in your body, in your mind. If there's things that you want to share with the rest of us so that we can share in that joy with you and celebrate with you, I would love for you to share aloud what some of those awesome moments were from this week. Yes.
I will say that having our daughter home from college this week has been especially nice. And on Sunday, we have a tradition of baking hamantash. So on Sunday, we bake hundreds and hundreds of hamantash.
Oh my goodness. I am in awe of the folks who bake hundreds and hundreds of hamantash. And we made one batch. That was our joyful moment of the week. And we were good. That's wonderful. I'm so glad you get to keep that tradition alive even when you have to make it work in different ways. Beautiful. I hope they're tasty.
Well, this moment right here, the whole weekend I had a lesson surrounded by all the people that we love. This is everything. So.
This is everything. I know, and I like the seating arrangement because then you can really take it in and experience it and appreciate it even more in the moment. Amen.
I'll savor the effort that everybody made in our family and friends to be here.
And what a joy to get to celebrate with those who are able to be here in this moment. Well, I invite you to continue to think about that question and maybe share with your loved ones over Shabbat dinner so that you can really appreciate these moments in our lives. Even if we don't want to share them with the entire world, that's okay. But being able to express gratitude for those gifts is really special and is something that I think we don't often take enough time to do in our lives, and to both notice what they are and maybe even express it out loud, and to be able to just hold on to that joy so it can continue to feed us long past the moment that we experienced it. So we're going to continue on page 13 with Psalm 96.
Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru bagoyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai, u'hulam me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, yai, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, va'Adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hadar lefanav, Oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho, havu l'Adonai mishpechot amim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, seu mincha, uvo'u lechatzrotav, Hishtachavuu l'Adonai behadra kodesh, chilu mipanav kol haaretz, imru bagoyim Adonai malach, ach tichon tevel ba'atzimot, yadin amim b'meisharim, yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam, umelo, yalo sadai, v'chol asher bo, yai, az yiranenu kol aseyar lifnei Adonai kiva, lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'amim be'emunato, yanai,
This is the easy part. We turn ahead to page 20. And we continue with the red arrow 3 lines up from the bottom in both the Hebrew and the transliteration.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
We turn ahead now to page 23, and I invite Gabby to come on back up to the bima as she leads us in the words of Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nechabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamuhad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'tila. Lecha, lecha, dodi, dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Merosh mikdem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila. Lecha, lecha, dodi, dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzi'i mitoch havracha, Rav lashevet be'emet abacha, Vehu yachol alai ilma. Lecha, lecha, dodi, dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela.
We turn to page 25 and continue with the second verse.
Yamin usmo tifrotzi, Ve'et Adonai ta'aritzi, Al yad ish ben parti, Ve'nishmecha v'chanat leila. Lecha, lecha, dodi, dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela.
I invite you to rise if you're able to do so and face the door as we move into our final paragraph.
Bo'i v'shalom ateret ba'ala, Gam b'shema u'tola, K'toch emunei al-segula, Bo'i kala, bo'i kala. Lecha, lecha, dodi, dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela.
Toda rabba, Gabby, you may be seated. We continue on page 27 with the Psalm for Shabbat.
Tov le'odot l'Adonai, Tov le'odot l'Adonai, ulezamer le'shimcha elyon, Tov le'odot l'Adonai, Tov le'odot
silently to the bottom of the page, and then we'll pick up together on page 28. Continue with the red arrow on page 28.
Sadika tamar yivrach ke'erez bavanon yizkeh shetulim bevet Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvon beseva deshenim verananim yehiyu lehagi ki yashar Adonai suri velo alatapo.
Page 29.
Adonai malach gehud lavesh Adonai oti tazar am tichon tevel batimot nachon ki yastachameas me'olam atayai nai 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 nasu ne'arot Adonai nasu ne'arot kulam yisu ne'arot ochyam mikolot mayim rabim adirim mishpreyam adir bamarom Adonai edotecha nemnu meot levetcha nava kodesh Adonai leorech yamim yai nai 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 ya na 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 nai 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 ya na 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 nai 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 ya na nai 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 ya na 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 nai 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 ya na 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 nai 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 nai.
We turn to page 30, and we have an opportunity both towards the beginning and towards the end of our service to remember those who have came before us. And so if you're currently saying Kaddish or observing a yard site, I invite you to rise if you're comfortable and able to do so as we recite the words of Mourner's Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra kirute v'amlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulomei omaya. Yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei zekudasha briachu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We turn to page 39, and I invite Gabby to come back up to the bima, and for everyone to please rise if you're comfortable and able to do so, as Gabby will lead us in the words of our Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Amen. You may be seated.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umaktu ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamidim lo chaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai amari v'aravim.
Amen. We continue on the top of page 40.
Avat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ata, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shavenu u'v'kumenu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem neged yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavtecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Amen. We turn to page 41, and I invite Gabby to come back up to the bima as she leads us in the words of Shema and V'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol meutecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher Anohim mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinatam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, u'v'leftecha b'derech, u'v'shochtecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam liot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'v'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'isharecha.
We continue silently on page 42.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
We continue on the top of page 42 as we move into the words of Michamocha. Excuse me, and as we say these words, which we read several weeks ago in Torah, the words of Michamocha, we're reminded that these words come as the Israelites had crossed the sea and as they were experiencing the joy of freedom for the first time. And so every time we recite these words is an opportunity for us to appreciate the freedoms in our own lives, And maybe also offer a little prayer for all of those who might not have the same kind of freedom around the world, so that maybe all of us can someday join together in singing these words to celebrate that freedom.
ומלכות ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה מרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה ושמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם,
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא.
מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקר יום לפני משה זה אלי ענו ואמרו,
אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר כי פתה את אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. On page 45, we have the words of Hashkivenu, our prayer of peace and protection that we say every night, asking God to spread over us the sukkah of peace, the shelter, this canopy of peace, so that we can find safety each night, so that we can sleep well and wake up renewed, and so that we can be ready again for another new day. And at the same time, we're aware that, again, there's those in this world who don't have the same kind of peace and protection, or those who just might benefit from a little extra comfort in this moment. And so as we sing the words 3 lines up from the bottom of the page, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, spread over us your shelter of peace, I invite you to hold in your mind and in your heart all of those who might benefit from a little extra peace and protection on this cold and rainy night. And send your prayers to those that you know, those that you don't know, those who are near and those who are far, so that, God willing, everyone can find a safe and a dry and a warm place to be tonight, and, God willing, wake up to another day. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shelomecha, ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shelomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. We turn to the top of page 46, and I invite Gabby to come back to the bima to lead us in the words of Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. בני ובני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. יקדל ויקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ביום דברה חירותי, ביום ליק מלכותי, בחייכון וביומי ופועל בכל בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, ועולם ליום ליומיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקדושה ברכו. לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמיד רמי עלמה, ואמרו
Amen. We turn to page 47, and I invite you all to rise, if you're comfortable and able to do so, for our evening Amidah. And so in the evening, our Amidah is recited silently. And so I invite you to move at your own pace, starting on page 47 through to page 52. And feel free to be guided by the words in Hebrew or in English or any of the commentary or poetry that surrounds the page. Or just use this as a moment for some quiet reflection, to notice where you are in this moment and what you might be praying for. And we'll all join up together at the end with a prayer for peace.
Oseh shalom v'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imeru.
Amen. Continue with Kaddish Shalem on page 54.
Yikadav Yikadashem Merabah,
Amen.
Ve'hamad Yivrach Hirte Ve'amlich Machlote B'chayachon V'yomechon V'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael B'agalav Yizman Kariv Ve'yemeru.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Leomei Omaya Yibarach.
Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitvar V'yitruman V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalav Shemei Dekudesha.
Brichu.
Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiram b'yama v'yimeru.
Amen.
Titkabel sotehon uavatehon dekol Yisrael kodam avahon dimishmaya v'yimeru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen. So So before we move into Kiddush, I have a very important question for you all. Raise your hand if you have ever read or watched Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets. Okay. We may have some spoilers, so if you didn't, you're getting there. Close your ears. Dahlia, close your ears. We haven't gotten to any of this yet. Okay, in this second book in the Harry Potter series, there seems to be, shockingly, something amiss in the castle. And it's wreaking havoc on the students. Several have actually wound up petrified, if you recall, or frozen, alive, but otherwise unmoving. They're like statues. And of course, the hero of the day who figures out the cause of these episodes is none other than... And actually, the one who really figured it out was Hermione. So this week, we not only celebrate the heroines of Vashti and Esther, and celebrate International Women's Day, and celebrate Gabby Drasner, but we also raise up Hermione for her intellect and her persistence that helped her help everyone else solve yet another mystery. What is it, if you recall, that Hermione discovered as she was petrified? Think back to your Harry Potter watching or reading experiences. She was looking in a mirror. Okay, good. So she had a clue in her hand, but she was looking in a mirror. She was looking in a mirror because she was looking around the corner because there was something she wanted to see, but she didn't want to look straight at it. So, yeah, Amy. Yes. So this giant snake was what was causing everyone so much harm. And if you looked it straight in the eye, it was a fatal gaze. So thank goodness for that mirror, because if a person saw through a reflection of some sort, if there was an intermediary between the person and the eyes of that giant snake, then rather than this being a fatal incident for the person, which it could have been, then the person was simply frozen. Okay. So as I was reading the Torah portion this week, there was a particular scene near the end of the Parsha that brought me straight back to this whole scenario in the Chamber of Secrets. So the scene occurs kind of near the end of the Parsha, and it's after Moses has returned from Mount Sinai, only to find out when he came back down from Mount Sinai. Does anyone remember what he found after he was up there for 40 long days and nights? He came down, and what did he see? The golden calf. Oh my goodness gracious. So he came down to find that the people, the Israelites, had made a golden calf while he was gone. And not only did they make this molten creature, but they also seemed possibly to be praying to it rather than maintaining their faith in God, which was kind of the whole point of this whole ordeal, really. And Moses, perhaps understandably, was really angry. So was God. And so in Moses' anger, what did he do? He broke the tablets. He shattered those tablets from God that they had just spent 40 days creating. But God agrees, after some coaxing, to create a second set of tablets with Moses. Only before Moses goes back up the mountain this time, Moses makes a request of God. So Moses says to God, Vayomer hareini na et kavodecha. Please, let me behold your presence. Let me see your kavod. Who are you anyway? Moses asks to see God, and God answered, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim before you the name Adonai, and the grace that I grant and the compassion that I show. But you cannot see my face, for a human being may not see me and live. So what is Moses asking here? What is he hoping for? And why now? Thoughts? This is maybe a pretty big ask, but maybe not such a wacky one to be asking after all. I mean, Moses has pretty much been doing what God told him to do since the burning bush. For all this time now, it seems like Moses has been chit-chatting with God, But we don't really know what this maybe looked like or what this experience was like for him. Maybe this was a voice that Moses heard kind of in his head or in his heart and kind of ascribed it to God. Or maybe it was a noise or a feeling that came to him from the outside. Certainly with the burning bush, there's something that he saw that kind of triggered something in him. But in this moment, God cautions Moses that God is willing to entertain this idea, but that Moses cannot see God's face. Because like a gaze from that giant snake in the Chamber of Secrets, looking directly at God simply cannot be done. But God doesn't just assume that this needs to be the end of the discussion. Instead, God has a suggestion of how to make this situation work. So as I share this next piece in this conversation between God and Moses, I want to invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes and to hear these words and picture them for yourself. And Adonai said to Moses, "See, there's a place near me, a place with me. Station yourself on the rock, and as my presence pass by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock and shield you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen." Just take a nice deep breath and open your eyes when you're ready. So as I was describing this scene, what did you see? What did you feel? How do you understand this description that God is sharing, that Moses can see God, but only the back of God? What does that mean? Feel free to share. You don't have to, but you can. Any thoughts come to mind? Yeah, Amy.
That there will always be some mystery, that there will never be true familiarity. There will always be something to imagine, desire to know better.
Yeah. So there's always something more. And so maybe that maybe causes us to want to strive, to keep trying, to keep knowing more. And maybe that also prompts us to have a little bit of acceptance of it's okay not knowing everything and just kind of building these small pieces. It's beautiful.
Maybe that there's not just one image of God, that everybody has their own image, and so God can be can look like many different things.
I love that. So, right, because it's, like think about all of the times that maybe you kind of saw someone from behind and maybe you even thought it was someone else, and then they turned around and you're like, oh, totally different than what I thought that was going to be. So, like by seeing the back, there's there's a whole lot that we don't know that we can kind of fill in the blank however we want. I love that. It's like a choose your own adventure version of God. Yeah. So it's such a fascinating interaction between God and Moses here. Even more intimate than a lot of the other interactions that they've had and all of the other conversations that they have had or will have. And one of the things that I'm really struck by is how God says to Moses, "See, there's a place near me. Go over to that rock." God tells Moses to get ready. Before any of this happens, God tells Moses to kind of prepare himself for what's to come. And I imagine this rock as each time I read it, I kind of picture it somewhere else. So like maybe he's kind of, in the red rocks of Sedona, or maybe he's in the hills of the Galilee. Like picture all the places that you've hiked and all of these rocks and all of these crevices that this might be. And so maybe in this moment, Moses finds himself kind of getting ready for this really big thing that's about to happen. So maybe Moses kind of goes over to that rock and focuses on his breath. Maybe he tries to let go of the anger that he has for the Israelites and just quiet his mind and allow himself to really become present to this awesome encounter that he is about to have. And God tells Moses that it's going to be okay, that God is going to protect Moses, shield him from this element of God that might be too much for a mere mortal to take in. That God will contain God's radiance so that Moses can live. But lest Moses think that this was all a dream, an experience that was felt or experienced only in his mind or in his heart or in his soul, God does allow Moses to catch a glimpse, to experience more of this radiance, only it's from behind. So perhaps this image from behind leaves some mystery. Perhaps it just allows him to have a little bit more of like a muted or dulled radiance, like maybe what you'd find on a foggy or rainy night. Or maybe it's like seeing God's reflection in a mirror or in a pool of water, that the brilliance is there, but it's somehow contained. And it's contained to create the opportunity for us to be able to see it and to experience it, even if we're not able to look directly at it. I have so much more that I want to say about this parsha that I will not say right now. And perhaps I will revisit this in another moment. We'll see. But I just want to leave you with this question. When you have had a moment, have you had a moment when you have been able to catch a glimpse of God, of the back of God, of the hand, of that feeling of protection? When have you experienced this radiance, this connection, this energy? And how can we ready ourselves so that we don't allow moments like that to pass us by? We can discuss later. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So I want to invite Gabby to come back on up to the bima now. And I'll invite everyone to turn to page 55 as she leads us in the words of Kiddush.
You want me to say the whole thing, right? Okay, gotcha.
We're with you.
Matches your nails. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uvratzon himhilanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki banu v'harta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
Amen. Return to page 56, and I invite you to rise for Aleinu. Good.
Do you want to stay up with us if you want to?
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol la'teitz gedula li'oser breshit shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'goraleinu k'chol hamonam va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. We turn to page 58 for Mourner's Kaddish. And this week in our community, we observe the yard sites of Robert Ackerman, Senta Barr, Arthur Belsky, Jesse Einhorn, Helen Engelman, Katie Flick, Joel Gannett, Aaron Gorodetsky, Nathan Green, Myron Kaplan, Leonard Kessler, Abraham Cobran, Betty Levine, Minnie Levin, Samuel Lewinson, William Marker, Clifford Nelson, Myra Plumridge, Nigel Plumridge, Susan Rickles, Lillian Rosenberg, Daniel Paul Ross, Katie Sachs, Gerald Searman, Paul Solnick, Marcia Taylor, Joseph Weitz, Rose Zeitz, and my grandmother, Mary Strauss. If there are other names of someone for whom you're saying Kaddish that you might wish to share with our community, I invite you to do so. I invite those who are in mourning or who are observing a yard site to please rise, along with all those who wish to rise in support of the mourners or for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael v'agala uv'yizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mavarach li'olam malomei almaya. Yit barach v'yit tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shmei dekudasha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran mi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who dwell on earth, and we say together, amen. So before we close the service, I just want to say mazel tov again to Gabby, and thank you for helping us lead our service tonight. I hope that gets you a little warmed up for tomorrow, a little bit. We have many things coming up here at BTBJ, and I invite you to take a look at some of them and join us when you can. We have an awesome mosaic art project that we started working on last week during the Purim Carnival and after, and there's several opportunities to continue to do that, to make tiles, and then we'll come back later on and we'll paint them, and they'll eventually be installed right out here. On the way down into the driveway, so keep your eyes peeled next time you come. By the summer it should be there. And there's also on Sunday morning a virtual tour of Israel, of the tunnels in Jerusalem, which should be amazing. It is virtual because, we're here and they're there. But that means that everyone can join no matter where you are, when your PJs with your coffee from the comfort of your house. I hear wonderful things about this tour guide, and if you're thinking of going to Israel one day, then I think you could also, meet him in person. But it should be awesome at 11 a.m. I think those in our community should have the Zoom link, but feel free to register and we can get that to other folks as well. Next weekend's going to be a big one too. We hope that you might join us at some point Friday night, Shabbat morning, or Saturday night as we celebrate my installation. We'd love to be able to celebrate with everyone at some point. So soon we have deadlines, but I'm sure you can still come. I don't really know how that works. We would just want to celebrate with you. So we will, see you all there, hopefully. So we will conclude with the priestly blessing on page 75. And so in my house, we say this after lighting candles every Friday night. It's a tradition to bless our children every Shabbat. And so if you have loved ones near you, I invite you to snuggle them close. because it is a tradition to like put your hands on the people who you're blessing and kind of let your blessing pass along to them. And so we will share this blessing with you, and you can share this with one another.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha ve'yichunecha.
May God's face give light to you and show you favor.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face be lifted toward you and bestow upon you peace. Ken Yihiratzon, may it be God's will. Amen. So before we let you go tonight, Gabby, maybe you can come on up and help lead us in Motzi. And then I know lots of folks will be joining us for dinner. You're still in plastic. Hold on. What? No, Hamotzi left in Haaretz. I'll do it with you. You hold it. We'll sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Dig in. Grab. You can take a whole challah. You don't know what. All right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Can I offer anyone challah? Challah? Would you like some challah?
Go ahead, Doug. Ask how many points there are.
It's Shabbat. There's no points on Shabbat. You don't know this? No points on Shabbat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Challah? Would you like some challah? Shabbat shalom.